All right, good morning, team. We are here with the last two sections of Stargirl. We're almost done. All right, so how do you think it's going to end? I don't know either. I do, I've read it, but I won't spoil anything for you. All right, so here we go. Chapter 31, page 167. As she had predicted, I did not ask her to the Ocotillo ball. I did not ask anyone. I did not go. She did. The ball took place on a Saturday night in late May on tennis courts of the Mica Country Club, which is like a fancy building where people can go and have like parties and stuff. When sunset was down to a faintly glowing ember in the west and the moon rose in the east, I went forth on my bicycle. I coasted by the club, festooned with Cantonese lanterns. Festooned means decorated, and Cantonese is like Chinese lanterns. The ball in the distance looked like a cruise ship at sea. I could not identify individuals, only stirrings of color. Much of it was powder blue. The day after Wayne Parr said he had chosen powder blue for his dinner jacket, his suit, 3/4 of the boys ordered the same tuxedo from Tuxedo Junction. Back and forth I cruised in the night beyond the lights. Music reached my ears as random peeps. The desert flowers, so abundant in April, were dying now. I had the notion that they were calling to each other. I cruised for hours. The moon rose into the sky like a lost balloon, and somewhere in the dark shapes of the Maricopas, a coyote howled. In the days and the weeks and years that followed, everyone agreed they had never seen anything like it. She had arrived in a bicycle sidecar, just big enough for her to sit in, and the sidecar had a single outbound wheel. The inboard side was braced to the bike. Right, so this is like when you've seen those motorcycles, and then there's like a little car attached, like a little seat attached to the side of the car. So the motorcycle, this is like that. Everything but the seat of the bike and the sidecar bench was covered in flowers. A 10-foot blanket of flowers trailed in the rear fender like a bridal train. Palm fronds flared from the handlebars, and it looked like a float in the rose parade. Dory Dilson pedaled the bicycle. Eyewitnesses later filled in what I could not see. Parents' cameras flashing, floodlights making a second day as the gorgeous couples disembarked from limos and boarded convertibles and promenades into the festival courts. Showers of applause, and suddenly the flashing stops. The floodlights dim. A hush falls over the crowd as a particular long white limo rolls up from the entrance, and here comes this 3-wheeled bouquet. The driver, Dory Dilson, she's driving the bicycle, wears a tailed white tuxedo and a tall silk hat, but it is her passenger who rivets the crowd. Her strapless gown is a bright, rich yellow, as if pressed from buttercups, which is a type of flower. There must be one of those hooped contraptions underneath, for the skirt billows outward from her waist like an upside-down teacup. Her hair is incredible. Descriptions clash, meaning people couldn't agree what it looked like. Some say it was the color of honey, some say strawberries. It fluffs like a meringue high atop her head. It's a wig. No, it's all hers, and both sides are certain. Earrings dangle, they're little silver somethings, but what? They are partly obscured by falling ringlets, meaning her hair was all curled. Many answers offered. The most popular is Monopoly pieces, but this will prove to be wrong. From a rawhide string around her neck dangles a white inch-long banana-shaped fossil, identifying her as a member in good standing of the Loyal Order of the Stone Bone. While others wear orchids, the corsage on her wrist is a small sunflower, or a huge black-eyed Susan, or some sort of daisy. No one is sure. Those are all types of flowers. Except that the colors are yellow and black. Before proceeding, she turns back to the bicycle and bends over a small basket hanging from the handlebars. The basket, too, is covered with flowers. She appears to kiss something in it, then waves to Dory Dilson. Dory salutes, and the bicycle pulls away. People nearby catch a glimpse of tiny cinnamon-colored ears and 2 peppercorn eyes peering out of the basket. Beautiful, unusual, interesting, different, regal. Those words will come later from the parents lining the walk. For now, there are only stairs as she makes her way from the entrance to the ball. Someone recalls a single camera flashing, but that is all. She is no one's child, and she is the girl they've all heard about. As she passes by, she makes no attempt to avoid their eyes. On the contrary, she looks directly at them, turning to one side, then the other, looking into their eyes and smiling as if she knows them, as if they have shared grand and special things. Some turn aside, uneasy in a way they can't account for, and others feel suddenly empty when her eyes leave theirs. So distracting, so complete is she that she has gone before many realize that she had no escort. She was alone, a parade of one. Perched on my bike in the distance, I remember looking up and seeing the torrent of stars we call the Milky Way. I remember wondering if she could see them too, or were they lost in the light of the lanterns? The dancing took place on the center tennis court, which had been covered with a portable parquet floor, which means it was like a hardwood floor. She did what everyone else did at the ball. She danced. To the music of Guy Greco and the serenaders, she danced the slow dances and the fast one. She spread her arms wide and threw back her head and closed her eyes and gave every impression of thoroughly enjoying herself. They did not speak to her, of course, but they could not help looking over their shoulders of their dates. She clapped at the end of each number, of each song. She's alone, they kept telling themselves, and surely she danced in no one's arms. Yet somehow they seemed to matter less and less. As the night went on, the clarinet and the coyote call mingled beyond the lantern light. The magic of their own powder blue jackets and orchids seemed to fade, and it came to them in a small sensations that they were more alone than she was. Who was the first to crack? No one knows. Did someone brush against her at the punch table? Pluck a petal from her flower? One was missing. Whisper, "Hi"? This much is certain. A boy named Raymond Studemacher danced with her. To the student body at large, Raymond Studemacher did not have enough substance to trigger the opening of a supermarket door. Meaning he was really small. He belonged to no team or organization. He took part in no school activities. His grades were ordinary. His clothing was ordinary. His face was ordinary. He had no detectable personality. Thin as a minute, he appeared to lack the heft to carry his own name. And in fact, when all eyes turned to him on the dance floor, those few who came up with him, with a name for him, frowned at his white jacket and whispered, "Raymond something." And yet there he was, Raymond something, walking right up to her. It came out later that his date had suggested it, and speaking to her, and then they were dancing. Couples steered themselves to get a better look. At the end of the number, he joined her in clapping and returned to his date. He told her the silver earrings looked like little trucks. Tension rose. Boys got antsy, like nervous, and girls picked at their corsages. A corsage is the flowers they wear on their wrists. The ice shattered. Several boys broke from their dates. They were headed her way when she walked up to Guy Greco and said something to him. That's the guy playing the music. Guy Greco turned to the serenaders, his band, and the baton flashed, and out came the sounds of an old teen dance standard, the bunny hop. If you don't know the bunny hop, which I'm sure you don't, go look it up. Go Google it on YouTube, because this is what dances used to play. Not when I was a kid, but like when my mom was a kid. And they're fun. They're just fun to dance to. So go look it up and then do a dance. Within seconds, a long line was snaking across the dance floor, and Stargirl led the way. And suddenly it was December again, and she had the school in her spell. Almost every couple joined in. Hillary Kimball, and Wayne Parr did not. Right, so everyone's dancing with Stargirl now. The line curled back and forth across the netless tennis courts, and Stargirl began to improvise, make stuff up. She flung her arms to make a make-believe crowd like a celebrity on parade. She wagged her fingers at the stars. She turned her fists like an egg beater, and every action echoed down the line behind her. The 3 hops of the bunny became the 3 struts of the vaudeville vamp, also a dance. You should look it up. Then the penguin waddle, another dance, and then a tiptoed priss, another dance. Every new move brought new laughter from the line. These are like the original, like, Fortnite and TikTok dances, right? These are the dances that everyone knew And if the song came on at the dance, at like the party, everyone did the same dance. It would be the same now as, a song coming on that everyone knows from TikTok or that everyone knows from Fortnite or whatever you get your dances from. And then everybody doing the same dance together. So it's pretty fun. When Guy Greco ended the music, howls of protest greeted him, and he re-struck the downbeat. To delighted squeals, Stargirl led them off the parquet dance floor and onto the other courts, and then through the chain-linked fence and off the tennis courts altogether. Red carnations and wrist corsages flashed as the line headed into the practice putting green of the golf course. The line doodled around the holes in and out of side pools of lantern light. From the dance light, it seemed to be more than it was. 100 couples, 200 people, 400 dancing legs seemed to be a single festive, flowery creature. A fabulous millipede, just those bugs with all the legs. And then there was less and less to see as the head vanished and the rest curled through the fringe of the light and followed, like the tail of a powdered blue dragon into the darkness. One girl in chiffon, which is the soft material you make dresses out of, had a tiff argument with her date and ran off towards the first tee calling, "Wait for me!" She looked like a huge mint green moth. Their voices came in clearly off the golf course. The laughing and yelping made a ruckus counterpoint to the metronomic tick-tock-tock, tock-tock-tock of the bunny's never-ending hop. Once, in the light of the quarter moon, they appeared in silhouette on a doomed distant green, like figures dancing in someone's dream. And then, quite suddenly, they were gone, as if the dreamer had awakened. Nothing to see, nothing to hear. Someone called, "Hey!" after them, but that was all. It was, according to those left behind, like waiting for a diver in water to return to surface. Hillary Kimball, for one, did not share that feeling. "I came here to dance," she declared, and she pulled Rain Parr along to the bandstand, where the band was, and demanded regular music. Guy Greco tilted his head to listen, but the baton did not stop and neither did the band, right? He didn't change. In fact, as minutes went by, the music seemed to become louder. Maybe it was an illusion, something they were imagining. Maybe the band had felt connected to the dancers. And maybe the farther the line spun into the night, the louder the band had to play. Maybe the music was a tether, like a rope, or a kite string. Hillary Kimball dragged Wayne Parr out into the middle of the parquet floor. They slow danced, they fast danced, they even tried an old-fashioned jitterbug. Another type of dance that you should look up. The jitterbug might be one of my favorites. It's super fun. Nothing worked. Nothing went with the triple thumping drum beat, but the bunny hop of itself. Hillary's orchid shed petals as she beat her fists on Wayne Parr's chest. "Do something!" she yelled. She ripped sticks of chewing gum from his pocket, and she chewed them furiously. She spit the wad and pressed the gum into her ears. She just put gum in her ears. Sorry, that was gross. The band played on. Afterward, there were many different guesses as to how long the bunny hoppers were actually gone, right? The rest of the class off dancing. Everyone agreed it seemed to be hours, and students stood under the last line of the lanterns, their fingers curling around the plastic-coated wire of the fence, peering into the vast blackness, straining for a glimpse, a scrap of sound. All they heard was the call of a coyote. A boy dashed wildly into the darkness, and he sauntered back, his blue jacket over his shoulder, laughing. A girl with glitter in her hair shivered, she was cold, and her bare shoulders shook as if she were cold, and she began to cry. Hillary Kimball stalked along the fence, clenching and unclenching her fists. She could not seem to stand still. When the call finally came, "They're back!" It was from the lone watcher at the far end, 100 kids, and only Hillary Kimball stayed behind, turned and raced down 8 tennis courts, pastel skirts flapping like stampeding flamingos. The fence buckled outwards as they slammed into it. They strained to see. Light barely trickled over the crusted earth beyond the fence. This was the desert side. Where? And then you could hear whoops and yahoos out there, somewhere clashing with the music, and then, there! A flash of yellow. Stargirl leaping from the shadows. The rest followed out of the darkness, a long, powder blue, many-headed birthing. Hop, hop, hop. They were still smacking on the beat. They were still smack on the beat. If anything, they seemed more energized than before. They were fresh. Their eyes sparkled in the lantern light. Many of the girls were browning half-dead flowers in their hair. Stargirl led them alongside of the fence. Those inside got up on a line of their own and hopped along. Guy Greco struck the downbeat final 3 times. Hop, hop, hop. And the 2 lines collided at the gate in a frenzy of hugs and shrieks and kisses. Shortly after, as the serenaders gratefully played Stardust, which is a slow song, Hillary Kimball walked up to Stargirl and said, "You ruin everything!" And she slapped her. The crowd grew instantly still. The girls stood facing each other for a long minute. Those nearby saw in Hillary's shoulders and eyes a flinching. She was waiting to be struck in reply. And in fact, when Stargirl finally moved, Hillary winced and shut her eyes. But it was the lips that touched her, not the palm of a hand. Stargirl kissed her gently on the cheek, and she was gone by the time Hillary opened her eyes. Wouldn't that be interesting if all fights went like that? Somebody smacks you and you just kiss them and walk away. Might be nice. Dory Dilson was waiting. Stargirl seemed to float down the promenade in her buttercup gown, her dress. She climbed into the sidecar, and the flowered bicycle rolled off into the night, and that was the last any of us ever saw her. Okay, guys. I'm going to pause it there. Join us for the next one, which is the last one.